So that's part of the story. I also founded a nonprofit called FATE, Fighting Addiction Through Education. And you see, I studied my son's problem. As a lawyer, I have a lot of complicated medical cases. I'm not a doctor, but if I have an orthopedic case or a case involving a drug or medical device, I have to learn that medicine. So that's what I've done obsessively for 21 years, is study the science of addiction. And I've learned a lot. The first thing that hit me was my own family doctor really didn't know much about addiction. And I finally figured out they don't really teach the science of addiction to all doctors. They felt like they didn't really need to. Now, if you're a psychiatrist, you get tons of that stuff. But that was a personal peeve of mine, and I started telling all my friends. I have a lot of doctor friends, and my daughter's a doctor. So I ran into a young lady who was a professor at Oklahoma State Med School named Casey Shrum. And so, you know, as you probably can tell, I like to talk, so I told Casey my pet peeve. And she just sat there and listened. Later on, she told me that she was a little disturbed by what I said and was defensive and didn't really think there was any merit to what I thought. But she drilled down and kind of changed her mind and said, you know, we can do better. So she then became the dean of the Oklahoma State Med School. And Oklahoma State Med School became one of the first schools in the country to start mandating a little more education about addiction. And she has done that at that school. And that's, I think, a game changer. So even today, we work together on a lot of addiction-related issues. And now she's the president of Oklahoma State. Most college presidents, that's a really tough job. Most of them would walk away from, you know, their prior job, but she didn't. She's staying heavily involved in that addiction issue and teaching the science of addiction. So anyway, you might ask what FATE does. To cure the addiction problem, this country needs the E in FATE. Education. It's the key. You know, if you just think about, say, any disease, like talk about AIDS. You can't really deal with AIDS, right, until you know what it is, how it's transmitted. When it first happened, when AIDS first made it to the United States, the doctors really couldn't understand what it was. It took a while. Well, they figured out it's a virus. Then they figured out the most common method of transmission. It's bloodborne. And so once they knew that, they began to take steps and educate the public, and millions of lives have been saved. So I figured out, why isn't that true with every disease? We need to know how it works, how to stop it, how to treat it. So the education part is critical. So I wish we could do more. We haven't done enough, but I just try to go give speeches to anybody that'll listen. And I've been doing that for about 21 years now. And I usually tell my son's story, show a few pictures of him. And that kind of resonates with the audience. It's true. And then I just tell them what I've learned in the last 21 years. And my doctor friends and my scientist friends have created a bunch of slides for me, and I just show them to whichever audience it is. And I find that to be very helpful. And I think the crowd finds it to be helpful. And I really believe in this country, we won't get a handle on addiction until we recognize what it is